All right. So what I did was I went ahead and went live online too, just so that way if we get some people that tunes in on YouTube, then we can invite them into the conversation, get them to ask us a few questions. This is just a little bit of a warm up, okay? So just don't be alarmed if somebody jumps in. You won't be able to hear them, but I will let you know. I'll communicate that with you. So give me one short second. All right. So to go ahead and get started, welcome to the Cell Block Hotline. I'm Tom Lane, and this evening we have Mr. Mark Hammond, and this is a new inmate from other than our last inmate, Mr. Vincent Cooley, who we sat down with and were able to speak to and get a few notes on his background. So this time we are starting with the new inmate, and we're going to allow him to go ahead and introduce himself. Mr. Mark?
How you doing? My name is Mark Hammond, and I'm currently here at the ERDC Correctional Facility.
Okay, Mr. Markey. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I thought you was done. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. Well, I'm 49 years old. I'm serving a consecutive life sentence.
4 consecutive life sentences.
Yeah.
Okay. Give us a little more background on your situation, if you're comfortable. Give us a little bit more background on your situation that got you where you are now.
That's a good question. I just for so long I just didn't have no direction. Where the wind blew, that's why I found myself there searching, for some type of direction. Gambling was really my main problem as far as that was my out. I remember when I was staying on the south side, I was visiting my mother on the weekends from this group home I was in, and named Edgewood out of Western Groves. Mm-hmm. On the weekend, I was visiting my mother. And so one day, the guys I used to hang with or whatever. So one day we walked in, going through the little game where you see in the crap game, brother shooting dice. So at that moment, I was probably like 11 or 12. I just became intrigued on what was going on. And I wanted to know what was going on. So I asked questions throughout the whole racing and then gambling and whatever. And from there, I just got this strong urge to want to gamble. We had already been gambling like pitching quarters and stuff like that against the neighborhood laundromat. So, but I didn't know that it would become a monster in my life. So for me, gambling became a very, troublesome area of my life. So I became a compulsive gambler, and ultimately that led to me being incarcerated, losing. Just kept losing money, and when you desperate, you try to do things that you would do if you weren't under the state mind. So that's basically what led me to this position that I'm in.
Okay, and if you can go back a little bit and say it again in regards to what exactly was it? It was that you robbed somebody?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so what?
And of course, along with the robbery, at the same time, this man's life was taken.
But you didn't kill him, or you killed him?
Well, that's why I'm here. I'm here for second-degree murder. The jury didn't find me guilty of first-degree murder. They found me guilty of second-degree murder, first-degree robbery, and the two other counts was armed criminal action. So I got life sentences for each count that I was found guilty under.
Okay. Well, and when this all happened, what year was this? You said that you're 49 years old?
Yeah, This case was brought late 2000. Yeah.
Okay. I tried to look you up online.
I think it's like 2000 and 2000. I don't think I got convicted until like 2002,
Okay.
2003, sometime like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm as you're talking, I'm trying to see if I pulled up the right case because like I was explaining to Vincent, some of these cases are hard to find today depending on how old they are, you know?
Right. Right.
Cuz I saw one that was saying that this Mark Hammond or the Mark Hammond that I found he filed for an appeal. Did you file for an appeal?
Of course. Yeah.
Like an
Yeah.
emergency appeal in regards to your health?
No, I don't know nothing about no film.
Okay, so that wasn't you. Okay, so let's see.
Now that might be an issue because I don't do too much with the legal piece as far about going past a certain point. So I don't know. But my crime is related to the casino queen.
The Casino Queen. Okay, that's
Yeah.
still here. And see, the one that I just was able to pull up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen for those that tune in. They can see what I'm seeing. And what I was able to pull up is a case that says Mark Hammond appeals from the judgment of the trial court entered upon a jury verdict convicting him of second-degree murder, first-degree robbery, and 2 counts of armed criminal action. We have reviewed the briefs of the parties in the record on appeal and conclude that the trial court did not over. I don't feel like that's you though because it doesn't give
I
more.
think
It
that
sound
is.
like you.
Yeah, what year is that?
This is September 16, 2003.
Yeah, that's about right.
Okay. So let's see. Mark Hammond. And you're from St. Louis, correct?
Yeah,
St. Louis arrest. And you got arrested in what year?
2000.
2000. Were you 28 at the time?
Yeah.
You were, okay. So it looks like the dispatch Argus. Man
Not,
gets,
was I 28 or 26? I might have been 26. Hold on,
okay.
let me see. I was about right there.
Well, this one sounds closer to what it was that you were describing. Let me see if it'll allow me to pull up. They always want you to pay for something. Ah, it says I gotta have a subscription because it mentions casino. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But it does mention man gets life term in murder of gambler for his casino winnings, November 7th. You were found guilty,
Yeah,
or
that's
somebody was found guilty.
yeah.
Okay. I wanted to pull up the story so that way I can read it. Okay. Give me a second. Code. Let me put this code in. Continue. All right. I think we may be in that thing. Let's see. I'll sign up for a subscription. Oh my God, it's being complicated with me. Let's see here. So as I'm doing this, because I really want to get the story, so that way I can make it clear as to the point of view that the public got during that time. Give us some review on how your experience has been since all of this has happened to you.
I mean, uh, let me just ask you that question again, please.
Just give us a little bit more background on how your experience has gone since you've been locked up. Um, if you were 26, 28 years old, that's young. What were your goals before then? Did you have any goals?
My goal, see, I had already been in prison, and in '92, I first got in prison in 1992,
Mm-hmm.
and I did 7 years and got out in '99. So I only stayed out a year and a few months before this situation happened. But in the process of that, like I say, I'm just trying to think it's like no one question, no one answer. It's not like one answer that I can give you. Right? It's just like just basically just being a lost spirit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just somebody lost that doesn't have direction. I mean, when you when you try to understand life and don't even understand life, but you have this reality before you, and you're trying to work through it, but it's like, how do you work through it? What is the guidance? What it's like there's no direction. I mean, it's like in my heart, I wanted to always do the right thing, but I just didn't have no method of doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Nor did I, and not to discredit anybody like that, but I just don't feel like I had that push, from nobody. But, one thing, like, to answer your question, one of the things I've learned over this period of time is that, it's so easy when you're a victim at such a young age to try to live with that as a crutch, as justification to justify some of the things that I've done in life. But, I always knew, like, at a certain age, right from wrong, right? I always had a sense of right from wrong, but I didn't have a sense of just, like, what I wanted to be. So if you ask me what I wanted to be in life, I couldn't even tell you. I mean, as a child, that's one of the main questions that all kids get asked. And my childhood is so suppressed that I'm limited in the things that transpired in my childhood because I suppressed them so much. So I can't really even tell you what I wanted to be. But I did want to be, when my mother passed in 1994 while I was incarcerated,
Mm-hmm.
I told her I wanted to make my mother proud, and just be a good son. That was my goal. But there was really no goal orientated, scenario played before me. It was just like, I came out washing dishes, at a restaurant that I had worked at before even that I worked in previously before me doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was fortunate enough to get a job there, and I was trying to do the right thing, but it was something that my PO had told me. And I had went into the PO office one day, probation and parole office, and he said, "Man, I'm gonna stipulate that you go to school and get a GED because I didn't have a GED."
Mm-hmm.
And so he said, "Man, because right now you just playing the system." He said, "Man, you got a job, but it's not paying much. The classes I was going to was anger management and substance abuse. So I had to be sweet because I was attending these classes and things, but he was basically saying that you playing the system." And so he said, "Man, one day," and he said, "Man, all comfort zones need to be broken. So I'm gonna break yours, and even though it's not stipulated in your parole, then that I'm gonna make you go to school, man, because this is not gonna be enough to get you through. At some point in time, man, you're probably gonna start trying to find other means of make the money.
Yeah.
So all these years later, that's one of probably the best advice that I've ever been given in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't take heed. But I didn't take heed to it because I took it as that fragile, victimized little boy mentality. That was the approach I accepted. I didn't accept it as an adult, as a mature person. I accepted it as a little child.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I was just being punished, you know. So when you're being punished and punished for so long, and, you know, for reasons unbeknownst to you, it's like, you know, you feel like it's happening again. Here's a reoccurring event. But come to find out, that was like some of the best advice you gave me. Again, you know, no matter what, all comfort zones are broken. It's just a way of life. You know, you see a lot of guys in here say they want to be comfortable. And I always tell them that story because I let them know the moment that their comfort zone is broken, then there's a reactionary stage. How you gonna react? How you gonna respond to these things? That matter. How will you take it? Will you take it and just see the negative and don't see the positive?
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, I took that, and that's one of the things that I use every day in my life to help let me see the positive side of things instead of just taking that initial negative you know belief or the little boy pattern, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
you know, but I
Yeah.
tell you like this, you probably go ahead.
No, I'm listening. Go ahead. You're
You know,
free
I
to
said it's
talk.
probably hard. It's probably hard to believe that it was like I knew I was coming to prison before I even came to prison. You know, okay? It's
Mm-hmm.
like it was Tupac said something in one of his lines like a long time ago. He said he feel his life before his eyes. Uh, uh, he feel his life go by on his hands on the trigger before he poured it, something like that. But that was the same experience I had that day. I knew I was going to prison. There was no, and a part of me is almost like as I think about it now, it's like a part of me wants to be in prison, you know, because I just couldn't make it out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to come to prison now and to finally, after so many years, because there's a lot of gaps, dude. I mean, I'm quite sure you don't have a lot of questions, but there's so many gaps that has to be bridged and to really to get
Mm-hmm.
an understanding into my type, right? But I've become somebody that, you know, I've really matured. I mean, I, and I just have to say that I'm probably more happier right now than I ever been in my life. Others besides the little kids running around having fun,
Right.
you know,
What is
just
making you happy right now? What makes you happy?
hope, faith, uh, you know, being a Muslim, believing. I always believe that. I always used to say this. Well, when I was a little bitty boy, I used to always run around the house saying the Holy Ghost. I've never
Right.
said it, but my mom always used to remind me of it.
Mr.
And
Mark, I'm sorry to cut you off. Give me 1 second, okay? Yeah. Oh, all right. I'm sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
That's okay.
Am I?
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
okay.
wasting your minutes on this call, am I?
I bought them for this time. Yeah.
You said you got time? Okay, good. So I'm sorry to skip over some things that we were already talking about. I got distracted. But I did go ahead and join that subscription so that way I can just get a little bit more background of from the police point of view or the police report point of view. Like I explained to Vincent that for journalists, most of the facts and the story is only going to come really from the police report, along with maybe some personal one-on-one interviews. So I'm just going to read it real quick. And it says here, in East St. Louis, Illinois, man was sentenced Monday to 4 consecutive terms of life in prison for killing a gambler for his casino winnings. A St. Louis County jury on November 7th found Mark Hammond, 28, guilty of murder, robbery, and armed criminal action in November 2000 death of David Yang. Yang, 41, was returning to his South St. Louis County home from a night at two St. Louis area casinos where he was shot and killed in his garage. Police said Hammond likely followed Yang home. Police said Yang was robbed of more than $4,000 and had another $7,000 in his wallet that the robber did not take. And that's all that they have on there. So now that we have a little bit more clarity on this situation, I think that that helps moving forward in regards to really getting the full story from you, not the full story of just the incident, but just what it is that you really want to talk about in regards to maybe mental health or following your first mind. Um, what did you really take away from this lesson? I know that you spoke on staying in the positive realm of mind and things like that. The fact that you were able to get some advice from other people not having that when growing up. But now that you're there, are you now in the role of being that example for other men that are in the corrections center facility? Are you helping them and mentoring as best as possible?
Absolutely. That's. I mean, I got a question that I like to ask people that's going back to society. And it's really a question. So, like I always talk when I tell people when I'm talking, man, I'm really talking to myself, but I'm talking to you. So one of the questions I like to ask people, I say, man, are we going back out there to give or to take? You know, a lot of times people don't understand the person, or a lot of people just say they're going out there to get, to take, like the world owns something. And I'm of a different mind plan. I feel like based on the thought that it's okay to victimize people because of the selfish gain. So you take so much from people. I understand the nature of my actions versus when you do an action, when I've done actions in the past, I just thought I was doing something.
Right.
But I didn't know the magnitude of my actions. The trauma within that would be caused on me, that would be placed on me, my family, those victims' families, those communities, all those things. So my main message today is that if I change my life, then I help change people being a victim, by my actions. So the next person corrects his or her actions, then they help society in that manner. So, like my whole thing is like, to give a good analogy of where I'm at with what I'm saying, is like, you have this child, and a child in the school system, goes through a process, pre-kindergarten, kindergarten, or first grade, second grade, however you may have it. And it goes up the scale of the education level.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I still was that child. Even though I was the age of an adult, I still was a child. I was a childlike in action. I was a childlike in thought. but I was the age of an adult, but I had no maturity as an adult, right? So now I feel like I've come to get out of the child phase in my life.
Right.
And every now and then I still have to wrestle with that. But now I consider myself an adult and one who aspires to continue to mature each day. I'm planet Earth. So if that makes sense, it's like now it's like I've taken a bad situation and I've made it look, and I've taken a positive outlook on it.
Right.
To continue to condone in the sea of darkness. Because that's what I did for so long. I checked out. I gave up. Once I got sentenced, I looked at the judge. His name was John Kent. When he read the first life sentence, I just looked at him, and he looked at me, and I'm saying to myself, how does this old white man mean love me? Do you know who I am? That's what I'm saying in my mind.
Right.
And he said another life sentence. So at this point, I'm like, you know what? I should spit in his face. But then I looked back there at my father, my stepmother, my uncle, my little brother, and my nephew. I said, man, I wouldn't even allow my people see me get hollowed out like this. So I controlled myself. But at that moment, that was just something I had to get over. I was like, we put ourselves in these positions, and then we want to control and have a narrative of that very bad position that you put in.
Right. Yeah.
And now I got the right to control it. Now I have some type of self-entitlement. So all those things is brought into the realization. It's like, man, you did what you did, man. And one of the things that hurt me about with my case is that they got a report in the part of in the report, police lie. So I was listening to you when you were saying like the facts, and I was saying to myself, the only person that knows the facts is the person who does these crimes, right? And what's going on. Everything else is just reported, whether it's truth or the lie. It's up for the interpreter. But the person that does these things, and I feel like this man had kids. So I come up at the age of maybe 78 or 79. I've been in foster care or in group homes all my life. So in actuality, for me to be incarcerated is nothing, because that's how I started my life.
Right.
Being in some type of system. If you look at it, if you almost go through every person who's ever been in prison, they all started off in the system. Division of Family Services, juvenile. This is what these places I'm on the floodgates. There's floodgates with it, right? And so, the point I'm making about this is that I felt like the very thing that I felt so strong about is a child having his mother and having his father. I contributed to taking away the very thing that I yearned for all my life.
Yeah.
And they broke me. So I had checked out. I gave up. I didn't turn, drug abuse became my thing. The gambling continued. You would think that a person would stop. This led you to get back in the prison. You would think it would stop.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to go through. I'm starting to understand when I think about my life now. I see the pattern of it being necessary for me to come to prison to find myself. I don't care where you at in the world. It's like you get lost out there, or you lost in here. You found out there, or you found it here.
Right.
Life is for me. It's been a quest. Now I understand the quest, and I've always asked myself, what was I searching for? So when I think back to like maybe being 7 or 8 years old, and I remember the song by the Winans playing on the radio. Now at this age, I shouldn't have no type of. To me, I shouldn't have no type of. Just thinking back on, I shouldn't have no connection to this song.
Yeah.
I should understand.
What song is that?
But it's making me cry. This is called Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, something. I think I know what you're talking about. Will very well be today. That song.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, look at you. That's my song. I love that song.
But this broke me down as a little child.
Yeah.
How did I have these emotions?
Yeah.
How did I understand the lyrics? Here it is, a child that don't understand life, but I understand these lyrics. There was a connection there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful to be in a place now where today I've chosen love. There's no more tomorrow for me choosing the love, seeking the mercy of God, seeking forgiveness, and asking people not to be afraid to ask for forgiveness. You know, because that's real courage. That's real bravery. Knowing
Right.
you wrong people, knowing you've done things, but have the muster, the inner fortitude to say, you know what, I'm sorry for doing this. It was wrong. Would you please forgive me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a part of my life now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Taking accountability.
Like,
right. You're taking accountability.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. And I'm glad you used that word, right? Because and I was thinking about this. I was thinking to myself, when we make a choice, we also make a pledge of acceptance. And that acceptance is that we accept everything that comes from this bad choice.
Right.
But at the time that we're making these choices, I don't think we identify with the process of the choices that we make. Mm-hmm. And I always had a saying that, you know, if I could be active in a child's life and they're growing up, I would always distinguish to that child, he or she, the difference between a mistake and a bad choice.
Right.
A mistake is something that's simply a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
But oftentimes we brought up in these society where we talk like, oh, it's okay, baby, everybody make a mistake. So that very lessons that you was taught by your granny, your mother, or whoever else, you find yourself saying that about bad choices. And you're looking for some type of sympathy based on the notion that this is what you was taught.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it's clearly a difference in it. You know what I mean? You spill some coffee on yourself, that's a mistake. You know, you trip and slip and you spill some food on me while we're at the restaurant, that's a mistake. So when I say I'm gonna go out here and invade somebody else's space and privacy and peace, that's not a mistake no more. That's a terrible choice.
Right.
And once I make that decision, I have to accept everything that happens. That means I have to accept that people gonna turn their back on me. People gonna die while you're in prison.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be stressed. You're gonna be depressed. You're gonna be lonely. Your heart gonna get shattered. You know, you're gonna feel like the world is against you. All these things come. You know, you might get victimized while you're in prison.
Right.
All these things come, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you don't know these is the things that you accept. It's like a contract. Like if I come work for you and you say that this is what you have to do in order to get a paycheck.
Yeah.
Well, when I did, these is the consequences that I signed up for. I can't cry about it now. You know what I mean? Because now I understand that if I think like that, then it helps me with all my critical decision making.
Right.
Now, if this something, that means that I accept everything that comes with it. That means that I lose my family. I no longer have the right to see my kids. I no longer can help my grandmother who needs a yard cut. She needs to go get the medicine picked up. She needs somebody to grocery shop. She needs her car washed. I can't continue to none of those things, all because in a decision, a poor decision that I made, I also accepted that these things would be stripped from me.
My biggest question, though, is how is it that it was one person that was in the situation or ended up deceased, but you got 4 life consecutive sentences? What are the other life sentences for?
Well, the other two is for ongoing action. I mean, this is what they do. By me had already been convicted before for robbery in Columbia, Missouri. They used that as a sentencing enhancement as far as giving me a prior. So when they submit when they submit oh man, I had a brain poop. When they do the indictment, that's a part of the indictment saying that they're going to sentence you under the prior persistent, the ex-offender, the prior act. So by me having it prior, it enables them to up the ante on how they want to sentence.
Right.
So basically, this is essentially what happened. Okay, if you lose out in trial, I get life without, right? Not the death penalty, I get life without. It means I no longer I have a sentence that's not parole. So essentially, just in case you lose out in trial, the system has a backup plan. Okay, now we're gonna give them based on this prior, we're gonna make sure he's still sentenced when he's got life without. You know what I mean? So it's like they still got their life without sentence because
right.
the day that I'm eligible for, and that's just the eligibility. I'm not even scheduled. I'll be 90-some years old. I mean, 9 times out of 10, I got diabetes,
right,
high blood pressure, all these things. And we're not living under the best. We don't get the best food or nothing like that. So 9 times out of 10, I probably won't even be living.
But I mean, what is considered a life sentence? Because in my mind, a life sentence was always up until you died. You know what I mean? It was like an indefinite. So if you have life with parole, what does that look like? You go in and you do what, half your sentence, and then the other half they could consider?
Well, how they do it now is considered life sentence is also considered as 30 years now. So you have the 85%. So if you got the 85% on a life sentence, you're looking to do 25 to 26 and a half years, and then you can be paroled, right? Because it's a number now. It's no more just, but if you think about it, in the days of old, guys was getting out of life sentences just doing 15 years, but laws have changed because you're doing so many months equals a year. So now they have it with 85%. So if you get a life sentence, you got 30 years. But here's the thing. When you get them consecutive, you got to do the mandatory time on each life sentence. So you take the first life sentence. In order for me to buy being consecutive, nowadays with all, if I have 4 concurrent life sentences, in a couple of years I'll be eligible for parole. In 2026 I would be eligible for parole. But by me having consecutive life sentences, now I must do the mandatory time on each sentence. So now I have to do 25, 26 years on the first life, 26, 25 years on the second life. And then when you're at the age of 40, life is calculated as you only have to do 14 years. So, it's like, but you done sentenced me to life with life without intention, without saying that on paper.
So are you looking for stuff? Are you looking for things to change to where you're allowed to get out? Is your case still open to where that is a possibility?
I ain't gonna lie to you. I just came with, I'm hopeful, but I feel like I put all my trust in God. I put all my trust in Allah. And, if anything, I feel like I'm more prepared than anybody in here to walk out this front door. I mean, without hands down, I just truly feel like that. But I know there's other brothers that fit the same bill, but if that don't happen, that's just not something that, that I can really waste a lot of energy on because I don't want to get caught up in that old depressive state. You know what I mean? Like I said, these are the consequences that came with my action.
Right.
And if it might sound crazy, but since I was 4 or 5 years old, I was prepared to be away from my loved ones.
By being in the initial system of foster care, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he was just caught up in the house fire. You got 4 boys caught up in the house fire. And, it took a lot of, it took serious. I mean, so you go from that, you go from foster crime, you go into being in foster crime with the foster crimes, physically abusing us, beating the brakes off of us, to have my big brother have to run away from that in order to bring some type of awareness to this. And we get removed from that, and then now we separated, now we're in different group homes. So basically, I've been built for this life. But now I'm just maturing, and I'm coming into my own understanding of life, and truly believing that there's a better life after this. I've always felt like that. Even when my mama died, I was glad because she suffered so much here in this world. And I don't know why people want people to stay in the world just to suffer. To watch somebody die.
Was your mom sick? Was she sick? Was she sick?
My mom died when she was 46 to 48, and she was trying to get off the medication, but she didn't know if she stopped taking the medication that she could lose her life. She lost her life. She passed away at a forest park at a picnic.
Wow.
I think my sister got a little more information on it. I think she could have been saved or something like that. But in the process of her trying to get us back in the 80s, she had a nervous breakdown. So now she became
a correctional facility and may be monitored and recorded.
A chemical dependent on whatever medication she was taking.
Yeah.
And I used to watch my mom, look at me, and just the love that I seen in her eyes to me, but really not having, I'm going to choose the right word, really not having the means to fulfill her promise, if that makes sense. She would always look at me and she would come with me from the children's home that called me and on things after I go. And she would come up on me to make tests and blood come see me. She didn't always look at that, she had the best clothes and whatever. But this is mom, you know what I mean? Somebody that I admire. I used to always stay on her legs. I don't know which one it was, but one of them I had ownership rights to. So, and so she would look at me and she said, Mama gonna get you back, baby. I promise. This was every time she came to see me, the same thing. And I relied on that promise. But like I said, when you're a child, you don't understand. You force the child to understand adult things, and that's just not how life works. I didn't understand what she was dealing with.
Right. Yeah.
But later on in life, I began the process to understand that she hurt. From that little boy, I didn't want to see my mother suffer no more in this world. It was like, it's easy for me to just always believe that there's a better place than this.
Right.
Since I feel like it's.
No, you're okay. Since you've been in there, how's your relationship with your family?
Our family has always been broken. Always.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember like my brother Russell, my brother Joe, that's my big brother Russell, Joe the next, then me, then my little brother Paul. But Paul was too young to be with us. But I remember growing up, I was thinking like, if anybody understand, they understand because we all went through. What I had to come to understand maybe, 30-some years later, close to 40 years later, is that we all went through the same traumatic experience, but we don't react and respond the way to trauma the same way. And that was something that I had to learn in life, that I always thought because we went through this together, that we all felt alike and we all thought alike.
No.
But our anger is different. The way that we deal with situations is different.
Yeah.
The way that we did it was different. But for so long, I had no understanding of that. I was just ignorant to that. Again, that's when I was able to, you know what? Like right now, it's so easy to forgive, is because now I have a better understanding for human. The human being just all the way around the board, whether you're my family or not.
Right.
And I know that mental health it plays a major part. because we all feel so misunderstood until you sit around a bunch of people that can tell you the almost the same exact stories. Like people that's listening right now, there's so many people that went through the same thing, you know, and that's why it's so good to be less secretive and always finding somebody that you can have an intimate conversation with, you know, so you can get that stuff off of you. And you don't come to realization that these people are like you all over the place. And some situations is even worse, you know, so.
Yeah. And I thought that I had that in mind as well when coming up with something like this in regards to this platform and just being able to allow you guys to call in and discuss whatever's on your mind, whether it's the background of your case or, you know, the plans that you have moving forward while you're still there. It's just the fact that somebody in the world can relate, you know, and they can probably take your advice. And then being that you're there right now in real time, I think that you can give some advice to the youth in order to prevent going into that. Because I think that one thing that I learned from the first set of interviews that I did with Vincent was the fact that there's a lot of politics behind bars. Not just that. We talked about the fentanyl epidemic. We talked about the overpopulation and the lack of help, the lack of staff. Because what is four correctional officers to 400 inmates? You know, so we talk about those things, and I feel like what you just spoke on in regards to if you can get the help and use the resources of talking to somebody early, do that. And we also spoke on mental health behind bars. Do you feel like in any way, shape, or form that there is a resource for you all specifically who have suffered a form of trauma that may have contributed to the crime that you committed?
Oh, absolutely. I feel the first mistake is this. You know, if you want to paint a picture of something, right, paint the truth. Right? Don't be selective in what you try to paint. Like in some of the words that was used against me was I was the slum of the earth and all these types of things in the portrait of, you know, creating an image of who I was, right? But the truth of who I was in the court system can't be revealed. See, they hide the juvenile records from us when we in adult court.
Mm-hmm.
So now you like there used to be some type of county hospital out there in Clayton where I used to go see a psychiatrist close to the juvenile system out there. And I can't even remember what I used to see the psychiatrist about. But the fact of the matter that we came up on, that we was trapped in the fire, we probably suffered from post-trauma stress disorder right out the gate. You know, so all these type of things, you know, they like to talk about it. You can have people that get paid, these psychiatrists and whatever they call them, psych doctors or whatever. They get paid for these things. They diagnosing people with things like that, but they also tell you what type of behavior is associated with these type of diagnosis.
Yeah.
So, but they don't do this. They don't do this in the court system. So here it is. You can't, if you're trying to send somebody to practice the slave plantation, you know, you don't want nobody to hear this story about this little boy, Mark Anthony Hammond, and the age, unfortunately, he went through this, because all this is documented, right? You know, all my life is going through these things, but like, this is documented. The jury never had a chance to hear that. Why? They don't want them to feel no sympathy for you.
Right. I was getting ready to say that.
So at this point, like, who's really letting who down? Who's really letting society down? It's really the system, who's the capitalist system, who is their only concern is really making money off any and everything at the expense of this. So for real, it's almost like when you see on the news and something, it's like, man, they had to have some type of intel that this person was a terrorist, or this person was going to do this, or this person was going to do this. Well, I can submit to you that the system knew that I was going to be a problem with my record. right? Because through all of your research and findings, you know the type of behavior patterns that come with these type of child upbringing, right?
You're right.
So it's like y'all didn't never warn nobody. You didn't even warn me against myself, but let alone warn the public. You know, this person here is a problem. So they cover their tracks. And he's right. It's a simple thing. If you can see and hear, I always told myself, man, I wish somebody would just come in here, get a job, and reveal everything that's going on in here. You know, you'll get a brother in here or something like that, and everybody like, man, this brother. I said, man, if you was my brother, man, you would go tell these news services, man, these injustices done, you know what I'm saying, in these prisons. And the things
Can
like
you
that.
give us an example? Can you give us an example of an injustice? Something that maybe you have faced personally?
Well, me personally, it's just so easy for you to say, I did this and that's that. It's your word, you know, there's no justice in that. Mm-hmm. There's no justice in the say that you can put up a blind, you can come in my room and do a room search and throw up something so can't nobody see in the room and come out with something and say it's mine. You know, I mean, like, there's no filming that is being done, there's nothing. It's just like, I'm going to take this word, this is the God, and, you know, they're the most crooked of them all.
Right.
You know, truth is told, there's some of them here, everybody's not no bad person. I don't care where you're at. You're going to have your bad apples wherever you go.
Right.
But the whole point of it is that these little brothers, but the system letting them down, the older brothers in here letting them down, you know what I mean? Some of the older brothers is worse than these young brothers. Yeah. Because all they life is they don't know nothing. They don't know nothing past being stupidity. You know what I mean? They don't understand. They cool. Like, it's cool to be 6 years old listening to whatever you catch the NBA Youngboy or somebody like this. Like, mm-hmm. How you 60-some years old listening to this guy?
I can't understand anything that they're saying. That's not my music. That's not my genre. And it depends on the beat and the words, the lyrics, because if I can't understand you, you got too much of the auto-tune going on and all of this new slang and stuff like that. I'm not with all of that. So I have a youth group. I have a youth group that I do mentor, and I leave it up to them for them to educate me, because I'm always screaming, I'm not old, but compared to Gen Z, yeah, I'm pretty old, because I don't keep up with a lot of the new things. Like, I just don't understand. I can't interpret it. So I get what you mean when you say that. I do. So our time, uh-huh. I was getting ready to say our time is running down. And so we only have a few more minutes. So I am going to allow you to say anything that you would like to say right now. Just remember that moving forward, we will schedule a part 2 to this, and then a part 3 to wrap it up. But if you have any last words, or you want to say something for those that will tune in later and get this information and just listen to this podcast, go ahead. You have the floor.
This is what I like to say. Anybody, I really hope somebody's listening. It's like, if you have any resentments in your heart, deal with those issues, because they only make you distance from people. And if you got somebody that you love and you need to ask for forgiveness, or tell somebody that you forgive them for hurting you, you know, free your heart. You know, bring peace and real joy into your life. And once you grasp hold to peace, understand that peace is not something that can be taken. It can only be offered. So, you know, hold firm to your peace, hold firm to faith in God, and, you know, no matter the situation, you can be free. You know, I'm only locked up behind wires and all this, but I'm no longer locked up behind masks and lies and deceit, and manipulation and hate, and it's a beautiful thing. That's why I say I'm free. And if you out there, you can be free. And the main thing I would suggest anybody do, put God in your life, and and get rid of all those resentments, and understand that a victim is someone that doesn't have a choice in the matter. So whatever happened in our lives that we didn't have the choices or say in it, we have to move past that so we can become better and stronger people for people who need some type of rock or shoulder to lean on. With that, I hope y'all got something from yourself, and I wish y'all a wonderful night and a safe night.
All right. Mr. Mark, I appreciate you and I appreciate your time. I really enjoyed this conversation. It was enlightening and I feel like it was educational in the sense of just giving us some new information. I said the same thing in regards to Vincent. Like Vincent brought it. He brought the education. He was on top of it. And so that for me is the main thing behind being able to present to my audience you all's stories. So that way we can take away from it. And if we can't educate ourselves and be able to change our mindsets, maybe we can pay it forward and give it to the youth and save the youth one student at a time or one youth at a time. That's my focus. So I feel like you've had some really great things to say, and I can't wait to our part 2 and what else we're going to talk about from here on out. I'm excited.
All right.
All right then.
All right,
So
please.
I'm gonna go
All right.
ahead and end it. I want to thank everybody who tuned in, and this is it for Cell Block Hotline. Let's check out. Pass on the word. Don't forget to pass on the word. So yeah,
All right.
I went ahead and ended everything.